What is going on, guys? It's Dan here from the Sanctum Squad. Anyone who knows me will know that I have been playtesting this deck since it was announced. I think it's much better than people are giving it credit for. I think it's one of the best anti-meta decks going forward. So without further ado, let's just jump into the Yubel profile. First things first, 3 Spirit of Yubel. I've seen some profiles playing 2 of this card. I have no idea why. This card's insane. So what this card does is when your opponent declares an attack, it special summons itself. It can't be destroyed by battle and you take no battle damage. And then on summon, it adds or sets a spell or trap that mentions Yubel, so it plays around draw. And not once per turn, if this card is destroyed, it special summons OG Yubel from anywhere. So yeah, this card's nuts. Now for the 1 card starter, Samsara Lotus. Well, Samsara D Lotus. Regenerating was a much better name. So this card tributes itself for cost. You spec a Yubel from deck. And then it's got a nice little effect as well. If it's on field where you control original Yubel, you can change a monster effect your opponent activates to destroy a Yubel monster you control. This is good if you've got Spirit up and if you're playing the bigger Yubel names, but I don't think it's worth playing the bigger Yubel names until Legacy of Destruction, so we're not playing it at the moment. And then during the end phase, you can either add it to your hand or special summon it if you control a Yubel, so it just fulfills the original Yubel's cost. Speaking of which, we're playing 2 of the OG Yubel. I do quickly want to talk about Terror Incarnate as well and the Ultimate Nightmare. I'm not sure why people are playing one of this and some of the other names. There is Terror Incarnate somewhere. I think those cards are better when we get the field spell, because the field spell lets you float as well. But this card, you have to play at least one of it. The reason you play one of it is just because you can just get it off Spirit of Yubel. It enables Eternal Favourite Super Poly effect, and it just gets a bit of extra burn. So yeah, Yubel, not too much to say. 1 Gross Grinder Golem. Jake doesn't like this card, I do. So basically what this card does, yeah, we found it. So I'll just talk a little bit about Terror Incarnate before we go into this boy. I think there is definitely a warrant to play this card. I think it does entirely come down to personal preference. All this does is it's just an end-phase Dark Hole and it floats off the original Yubel. I mean, the level 11's a bit awkward for XCs and stuff, but yeah, you could definitely play Terror Incarnate. Anyway, Gross Gyna Golem. What this card does is if you have a Yubel or Spirit of Yubel, you can reveal it, special summon it to your opponent's field, and special summon the revealed Yubel. Then when it gets attacked into, you gain 3,000 life points. So basically, it's good for blocking off fields against cash, and it's sometimes good going first because just blocking off things like evenly and things like that. But it's better going second because you can just dosh into this for 6k and then that just sucks. It's, you know what, you cut it after Legacy of Destruction, I think, but I think it's good enough application to warrant it playing it. And then just into some other of the engine pieces. 3 Nightmare Pain. I love this card. It's nuts. So you can have as many of these down as you want. It's not once per turn. What you can do is, well, the effects are, you destroy a dark monster in your hand or field, and you search any card that mentions Yubel, so it triggers off Spirit really nicely. While this card's in the field, your opponent must go into the battle phase and then must attack a Yubel monster you control. So it just sometimes just enables easy OTKs. Your opponent will think that they've got you down to nothing. You'll have this and a Yubel down, and it's like, right, you're dead now. Yeah. I just think it's a really strong card. It's another 1.5 card starter, I'd say.
It's like a Draconic Diagram, yeah?
Pretty much, yeah. I think if this card was a field spell, it would be a little bit better, but we've got a broken field spell coming out anyway, so it's minor. Period Res Map. This is the best card to search the Lotus and another engine that I'm playing that I'll talk about. Playing the half the life points is a little bit frustrating, but the Geist Grinder Golem does make up for that somewhat, and to be honest, it's just another 1 card starter. Same with the 1-for-1. Well, the 1-for-1 needs a discard, but yeah, just more ways into combo. And the trap card, Eternal Favourite. This card's cool. It reminds me a bit of Crystal Conclave in that it has to be face up on the field to be able to trigger the Super Poly, and the fact that the Super Poly, you can only use it with OG Yubel makes it a little bit worse in my eyes, but the fact that it can reborn a Yubel monster from anywhere, like Banished to a Grave, is good. And there's a neat little trick you can do as well. If you chain this to an opponent's card, say they activate something that will search and you chain to reborn the Spirit of Yubel, you will actually get the Spirit's effect to search, because the last thing that will have resolved in the chain will be the opponent's effect. Next, we've got 7 cards that I do want to talk about a little bit. So this is an engine that everyone seems to think is mandatory to play. I'm not personally sold on it. As for the Unchained Dog, this could be red in the trap as well. It's entirely up to personal preference. I've played it with the red and it's good. I'm trying this just because it fulfills Spirit's discard cost, and it just lets you put it on the board that way. But opening with just this is a little bit naff because it just ends you on like a subpar Unchained board. This card's really good because it lets you reborn any Yubel monster because they're all fiends with 0 attack and defense. You can recycle continuous spells with it, which is cool if they pop your Nightmare Pain and stuff. This giving the extra normal summons really good, but I don't know, like I feel like I'd like to play maybe like one of this and keep these at 3, or you could just cut this package entirely and just play things like Pot of Prosperity, Allure of Darkness, maybe another flex spot, because this deck does have a lot of flex spots. And now for the non-engine, 3 Fenrir. If your deck can play it, it should. 3 Radiant. I was originally playing Books, but I just don't think Books are incredible going forward, so I decided to try Radiant. This thing's alright. It's a dark for Nightmare Pain, and in this deck, giving your opponent a Kaiju, just get rid of something inconvenient and just slap them about a bit. It's alright. Triple Tack. I think this card's probably one of the best in terms of the going first and going second tools. So I wanted cards in my main deck to just have utility for both of those things, and its talents, it's alright. Super Poly, I'm not even going to bother explaining this. This is Super Poly deck, just play it. And then the Call by the Grave and 3 Imperm. Not too much to say about that. The flex spots are entirely up to personal choice. I just think these are some of the best ones. And yeah, I think Allure of Darkness was something we were talking about earlier. And you could potentially play a Tour Guide package as well, if you wanted to get into the Unchained links that way. But again, I'm very open to interpretation with this deck. So if you've got any ideas, leave them in the comments below. Onto the extra deck, we've got 2 of the Loving Defender Forever. This is probably one of the best Super Poly targets I've ever seen because it's just a Yubel monster and any effect monsters on the field, any number of them. So you can just Super Poly off an opponent's entire board. When it's summoned as well, it burns your opponent for 500 for each of the materials, which can just sometimes end games. And then the effect that it has on the field, so it can't be destroyed by battle, but it also can't be destroyed by card effects. And then you can just attack, when it attacks, doesn't get destroyed, your opponent takes the damage, and then you inflict damage and you banish the monster, so non-targeting removal as well, which is quite nice. And then I'm just playing like pretty much all the Super Poly targets, just because there's quite a bit of room. You could play Dragostapelia probably, because this deck, I did find this deck had a little bit of a harder branded matchup than like the Fire King and things like that, which it typically is okay going into. But again, these are all entirely up to personal preference. I think if you're playing Super Poly though, these 3 are mandatory to play. Just this for the Fire King boards, it's just too good. Typhon, he's the boy. And then a little train package for OTKs. Sometimes you can just end games if you just have 2 level 10s on, burn for 2, Bosch 6k. Typhon's Typhon. I'm not playing Zeus because, to be honest, like if you're not ending a game with Lieb, you've done something wrong, and I'm not playing any more Xyzes, so I didn't really feel the need to play Zeus. But again, you definitely could. I'm not saying any of these choices are like, you have to do this, but it's just the way that I'm feeling about the deck. SP, it's the SP. Almirage, this is really good with the Beckoning Beast engine, but I think if you don't play the Beckoning Beast engine, you just play another Link one instead. Yeah, again, not so much to say. These are 3 cards that I want to talk about. So just the Unchained engine. If you're not playing the Unchained cards, you cut these for whatever else you want. Muckraker, I don't know if I'm not sure if I'd keep it or not, even if I wasn't playing the bigger Fiend package. Because the Reborn's nice, but I don't know, I just feel like it could be just like a Charmer or something. So yeah, that's it for the extra deck. And little token there, and Bosch. Onto the side deck. Side deck is pretty, like, there's not too much thought's gone into it, but again, this is all personal preference. Nibiru, there's an argument to main it in this deck, and I think going forward I actually would, because this deck has a unique synergy with Nibiru. You just give them a wham token and you just like beat into it and they just lose. Cosmic, I really like this card. It's got utility in so many matchups, going first and second. Evenly, just evenly. This is probably the coldest card I'm on in the side deck, in terms of like how I feel about it, which is nuts because Evenly is a good card, but yeah. And then going first, Anti-Spell. I think this is the best going first card this format. It just wins you games. And then Solemn Judgment. You don't get too much about life in this deck, but yeah, not really much else better to play going first, so I think, other than a Floodgate. So yeah, that was it for the profile. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.